Warner Brothers smashes box office windows, will send entire 2021 slate to HBO Max in theaters. This is from
So
the
it's
Hollywood
not
Reporter.
just Wonder Woman, it's everything they were planning to put out in 2021.
Yes.
And the theaters go, well, that's it, we're done. Because what does it matter if you're putting it out simultaneously in theaters and at home? The people that can get it at home are not going to come to the theater to see it. Why would they?
To get that theater experience.
I mean, that's a very optimistic hope, but I just don't think a lot of people are going to be doing that now, especially when you still have this situation where you have states and municipalities keeping us all locked in because control, you know?
Yeah. And you have, of course, when you go to a movie, you have to pay for multiple tickets if you're going with the family, right? Whereas you can just all watch it at home just by subscribing
for the same price. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, but see, there's been a lot of people talking about this right now. And everybody except the head of WarnerMedia and HBO Max says, yep, this is absolutely, without a doubt, the final death knell for the cinemas. And they're going, no. There's always going to be a place. No, not at all. The only theaters that are going to be able to continue are the ones that do, like, you know, spill over for concerts and stuff like that, you know, and do the like pay-per-view in the theater kind of things,
like the live opera
and concerts and even sporting events and stuff like that. Those are the only ones that'll be able to continue. And then they'll carry whatever cinema, you know, people are putting out.
So it's going to get more specialized. That's what it's sounding like to me. This is depressing though. 17 films, including Matrix 4, Suicide Squad, Dune, Tom and Jerry, Godzilla vs. Kong, Space Jam, A New Legacy.
Yep. And here's something else that a lot of the other outlets haven't been talking about, as far as I could tell. This is an admission by Warner Brothers that they are effed and they are scared and they are trying to minimize their losses, because don't be mistaken, this decision to release everything on HBO Max, they are taking a huge loss. They've already shelled out the money for things like Matrix 4, Wonder Woman, and they've spent millions and millions of dollars, and they'll be lucky to break even by putting it out to HBO Max. So they are just trying to take as little loss as possible.
Well, plus they want to win. They want to succeed in the streaming wars.
Well, you'd think that, right? I mean, on the surface of it, that makes sense. But if they really wanted to, if HBO Max really wanted to succeed in the streaming service, why do we still have HBO Go and whatever the third HBO stream is? Why did they not combine those last year? If they had, then their single HBO streaming service would have as many subscribers as Disney is currently claiming to have on Disney Plus, and they would truly be contenders with Disney Plus and with Netflix. But as it is now, HBO Max alone is basically comparable to CBS All Extortion, which is pitiful.
You can't even get it on Roku players, I've noticed, and that's like one of the top streaming devices. And I don't know if there were others that weren't matched with it. I think the Fire Stick was the Amazon Fire Stick, but it just seemed they said a lot of TVs that are the streaming TVs, you can't get it on there.
Yep.
So I think you might want to get that squared away first.
What's even worse than all of that is that none of these streaming services play outside the United States. So you don't get an international market either. We've been talking for over a year about China and, you know, the international market, and how, you know, if something doesn't do well in the United States, well, at least if it does well overseas, they'll pull a profit. That's not even an option right now.
Well, I have a question though. Oh, is this just for the United States or North America? The rest of the world, are they just going to get the regular releases?
Yep.
Okay, so it's just for us.
Yep.
So they're
So again, you're automatically cutting your potential revenue in half because now it's only the US. It's not going to be China. It's not going to be Europe. It's not going to be anyone overseas.
So maybe they're using us as an experiment?
I think it's desperation is what I really think it is.
One of the things I didn't understand is why they didn't wait to see how this worked out for Wonder Woman before they jumped all in on every other movie.
It is panic. Because isn't it AT&T that's the overall owner for? Yeah, AT&T is carrying so much debt that I honestly think that it is a larger amount of debt than any of us realize. I think AT&T is literally on the verge of declaring bankruptcy. And they are trying to mitigate their losses as much as possible. I have been saying this for a long time. The decisions that Hollywood has been making for the longest time, we've been saying that our whole community is kind of based on this. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. You're not listening to fans. You're not maximizing your profits. You don't seem to care about profits. Okay. But they have their reasons for doing the things that they want to do, whether it's ego or agendas or whatever it is. But then the CV thing hits, and that they can argue that that's the whole reason that they're going under. But we've seen it happening for so long that all this has done is accelerated what was already happening.
Yeah, I do think that's the case. But we'll see, because like Birds of Prey, that tanked last year. That was a big Warner Brothers showcase.
Well, sure, go back to 2016. Ghostbusters tanked. You couldn't blame that on COVID. You couldn't. It was a bad movie that the fans were not interested in. The fans weren't interested in it. The demographics that they were gearing the film to weren't interested in it, just like Birds of Prey. The fans weren't interested. The demographic that was supposed to be the target audience, the new target audience, didn't go to see it. Men didn't go see it. Women didn't go see it. Nobody went to see it. And this was before you couldn't go see it because of the couve. So now we have a year when people want to go see movies and nothing's coming out because all the theaters are closed.
Yeah, well, they did do that thing with Tenet earlier, and that kind of did not do so hot. But they were blaming the fact that the coasts were locked down, and that people couldn't go to the theaters.
Honestly, I am not going to sit here and say it's any one thing. It's not just CV. It's not just Hollywood's decisions. It's a combination of all these things. None of this stuff happens in a vacuum. But when it comes to Tenet, I got to tell you, to this day, I still don't even know what Tenet's all about.
But we have Autodread has a question. Was A&T in debt prior to Warner's acquisition or after? I only ask, would they want to buy a media company? Why would they want to buy
see, here's the thing. Yes, they were. And they went into huge debt with that acquisition. And then, the crew hits and there's no way for them to get it back. I mean, this is kind of the same thing is happening to these big companies that happened to homeowners back when the bubble burst, right? We'd all, gotten over our heads in mortgage, but in long term, you figure that's a good thing. Well, then, the housing market falls out. And now your house isn't worth squat and you owe more than you could resell the house for, and that's what's happened to these media companies. Media companies aren't worth anything anymore. They're not worth what they paid out for them. Look at CBS. What do they have that they can sell off? Star Trek? That's their biggest thing. Nobody wants it. They've completely devalued it. So there's no liquidity for them. And that's why you hear Sherry Redstone, is that her name?
Yes.
Talking about how she wants to right the ship, and she can't. We'll get to this actually, but she's canceled the Star Trek 4 plans, and she wants to get back to. Well, everybody wants to do that. We're going to talk about this too. Star Wars trying to right its ship and get the fans back because they've devalued what they spent a lot of money for, and it's no longer worth what they paid for it.
Yeah, I've heard it referred to sometimes as brand burning, but I don't know if that's the case with
whether it's intentional or not is probably another topic for another time.
Like She-Ra, I think it was intentional, but anyway, Leia plus size. She says, I think it's a bit of both. I think it's woke sickness making movies nobody wanted, and HBO needs content. They started too early with nothing to offer. Yeah, well,
yeah, you're absolutely right. So what's this? Oh, let me drop this one. What is this thing about Regal Cinemas reportedly closing a deal with Universal?
Well, I want to make a point too, and this is going to tie into what I'm saying about Warner Brothers. But we can go into this article too. This was a different deal they were probably working on before this dropped. Okay. And they were going to make a deal with Universal Studios, and this idea I thought was a bit better. Okay, this was the theater chains get the movie for 17 days. Okay, exclusive.
Okay,
after the 7-day period is over, then the movie studios can start distributing the movie digitally. Now, if you think about it, most people, when they want to go see the new movie, the new Avengers movie or whatnot, they're going to want to see it the first weekend, the second weekend. Sometimes movies, they'll start earlier in the week, like on a Wednesday night. That's probably where the 17 days things come from. Sure. And the point is that they can still get their first box office draw. I think that would still lose the money, but not as much as this Warner Brothers deal. And I think that was what the compromise was going to be. I think, okay, listen, we know you guys want to go straight to digital, but we still need to have first crack at these. And then he's like, okay, when do people usually want to go see the new movies? It's in the first couple weeks, right? So we'll have exclusivity first couple weeks, then you can put it to digital streaming, okay?
Okay, interesting.
And I thought that was an interesting idea, and I don't know if that would have worked, but the trouble is Warner Brothers jumped in with this thing about putting everything straight to digital. And part of me is wondering, is it worth for the theater chains to even show the Warner Brothers movies?
I mean, I don't know. I think at this point, between Disney Plus and the HBO Max situation, yeah, I mean, I think that I don't know how this is going to directly affect Universal if they go through with this. So I don't know. I actually, it wouldn't have been a bad idea. That actually sounded like a great out of the box type of thinking, right? You know, okay, fine. Regal will give you, 2 weeks or, a month, and then it goes to our streaming service, and we'll see how that works out. And if it works out, it works out. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But yeah, I think there's a lot of people panicking right now. The studios are panicking, and I think the cinemas are starting to go, okay, forget it. We're just closing up.